Yes, sir. Here we are. Dan is here. He's good to go. And we're ready talking UFC 317, Topuria versus Oliveira. Dan, we got a banger card here. We were talking about it in the chat a little earlier. And man, some of these fights, like this card might be one of the better cards of the entire year. I'm not talking from a DFS. I'm just talking about like skill-wise, the fights, a lot of closely lined fights. I mean, Dan, a ton of closely lined fights, honestly. It's going to be a really interesting card, and I can't wait to break it down with you. How you feeling?
Yeah, man, I feel great. This is definitely the best card of the year. International Fight Week is like the UFC's, it's like their Super Bowl, you know? So this is generally going to be the best card of the year. And I think this is going to deliver, man. Like you said, we've got a ton of high-level fights. We've got 2 title fights. Dude, like every fight, I mean, aside from the Nico Price sacrificial killing we're gonna watch, like all of these are competitive. I could see basically any dog winning. It's gonna be a sick night, man. I love this card.
Yeah, I can't wait. It's going to be awesome. And, 11 fights. So, we lost a fight, or whatever. Wish we had 12, but still, 11 really good fights, honestly, outside maybe 1 or 2 that, is a little lopsided. But outside of that, it's going to be even some of the fights that maybe the lines are like, not like the Jacoby Smith fight, but like some of the lines are just a little wider, not like pick'ems, but a little. They're still like closer fights, Dan. It's still not like I feel like there's not a ton of just like locks outside of maybe like 1 or 2 fights where I feel very comfortable saying like the favorite's going to win. Like outside of that, I think, I went back and forth on a lot of these fights, and I think a lot of people are probably going to be going back and forth on a lot of fights up to lock.
Yeah, there's a lot of close fights and a lot of live dogs. I think on the side I picked like 5 dogs out of these 11 fights, and I feel pretty good about them. So, yeah, man. I mean, just a great card top to bottom. Wish we had 12 fights. It's a little better for DFS, but I mean, at least it's not 10. At least it's not 9.
Yeah, that's true. At least it's not 10 or 9. We got a bunch of people in the chat already, ready to go. Amazing card. Let's fucking go. Our boy Josh Lee is on time. Sylvester is appreciating the haircut. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Can we get a week without so many decisions? I hope so, man. But even if we don't, I think they're going to be fun. A lot of these fights that could go to decision still will be fun for the most part. So that's always the good thing. We got my boy Don Yeezy, little bro season. We'll see. We'll see Don Yeezy coming after me on Twitter yesterday. You giving Big T all this stuff to go at me with too, Don Yeezy. Don't think I don't see you. I see what you were doing on Twitter, trying to stir shit up, stir the pot up. Reggie's back there. I don't know if you can see him, but he's back there. You might not be able to see him with the cutout, but sitting on the couch, just chilling. We got actually a party to go to after that. So I was amping Reggie up because Reggie loves to like go to like parks, pretty much anywhere where there's a ton of people or dogs. He just loves it. Like my dog is totally like a people and dog person. He doesn't mind like chilling on the couch, but he doesn't like to do it all day. He wants to like get out.
So this is a great day for him.
It's going to be a great day for him for sure. He's going to go see like 40 people after. So it's going to be awesome for him. So can't wait for that.
I love it.
Yeah, you got to get out a little bit. You got to get out there. So, all right, Dan, let's get into this card here. We're going to talk about it from all different types of angles. Obviously, DFS, betting. I got the pick 6 lines up too. So we'll go through each fight. And, that way at the end, we're not scrambling when we build our pick 6 for the people here, Dan. And first fight on the card, we've got Renato Diniz versus Alvin Hines, I think. One or the other. Hines, 7,100, I'm pretty sure, on DraftKings. I got so many things up. I got to pull up my DK pricing. Diniz, 9,100 here. Dan, I watched a little bit of Hines fighting, and he's definitely lower level. The guys he's beating are not very good fighters. I don't think anyone is even close to the level of striker that Renato Diniz is. And I think this fight finishes pretty quickly. I really like the under 1.5 line. It's -110 if you just want like a straight bet on DraftKings. It's -110 right now. I think it was -105 yesterday. It's -110 now on DK Sportsbook. I really like that. I think this fight does end pretty quickly. And if Diniz is winning, it's probably by knockout, most likely. Maybe he could win a decision. I mean, he could win a decision too, I guess. But I think if he's winning, I think it's a finish. And I think the finish comes early. I'm not like a big fan of Hines and his wrestling. I don't think his striking, especially his defense, is very good. And the way to beat Diniz is you got to be able to get him down on his back. So, if you can get him down flat on his back, anything's obviously possible, Dan. I just don't think Hines is the guy that can do it. What do you see here?
So you mentioned the under 1.5. I like the over here. I think. Have you've been taking heavyweight overs, you've been crushing. You know when the last heavyweight finish was in the UFC?
Tell me, give it to me.
March 15th, when Waldo Cortez Acosta knocked out Ryan Spann. That is the last time we had a finish in a heavyweight fight.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Really?
The stat I heard this week, and I was like, that's at first.
All right, well, Dan, check this one off. We're getting this one quick. So check this one off. This one's gonna be a quick one for you.
Yeah, I mean, Diniz, his inside the distance line of -170 is pretty strong for his price, but I kind of just have concerns because Alvin Hines wrestles a little bit, and Diniz seems to be completely hopeless when it comes to stuffing takedowns or getting up off of his back. So, well, I agree with you. I think Diniz, the most likely outcome is a Diniz finish. I think we get our first heavyweight finish since March here, but if I'm going to make a case for Hines, I think, like I said, I think everybody on this card is live. I might even make a case for Nico Price in a little bit. But the fact of the matter is, it's low level heavyweight. It's a super low skill, high variance division. So while obviously Diniz winning is the most likely outcome, I think you can definitely mix Hines in there too. He's super cheap. Any kind of win is probably good, and he's going to need wrestling to win, and that's going to score well on DraftKings. So I don't mind mixing Hines in. I think I've probably got, as of right now, I'm around like between 15 and 20%. Diniz, I've got around like closer to 30.
So can I just I'm going to make another case real quick. So the last 3 fights that Jonathan Diniz is faced right here, Austin Lane, Carl Williams, and Marcin Tybura. He's won 2 of those 3. The only loss was to Tybura, which was definitely the biggest step up. I don't know if Hines beats any one of those guys.
No, probably not. The one thing I will say about the Carl Williams fight is that Carl Williams just kind of refused to shoot takedowns early in that fight.
Which is his game too, which is the funny part.
Yeah, so it's like one of Diniz's like the main things you can point to of like, see, he fought and beat a wrestler. It's like, yeah, he fought and beat a wrestler who didn't wrestle him. So
yeah, but I don't know if Hines is a wrestler.
He's not like specifically like I am a wrestler. But he can wrestle. And to me, that's 7,100. That's sort of enough to at least get to him a little bit. Like I said before, it's like the division as a whole is like very low skill and very high variance. So I'm going to lean into that a bit.
Fair enough. Me and Dan. So are you taking Hines in the fight, or are you just betting the over?
No, I've got Diniz inside the distance. I don't know if it really comes super early, but yeah, I wanted to bring up that stat about heavyweight finishes because it's been a long time.
Yeah, Chris says early KO. We haven't even gotten to this fight, but Unlimited says whoever thinks Van is beating Royval doesn't know MMA. In Saber, how many uniques do you guys use? Dan, how many uniques are you using when you build your 150?
I would usually use 2. On a shorter slate like this, if you really want to jam someone, you can go down to 1, but I would start off with 2 and see how that does for you.
Yeah, I think it just depends on like the shorter slate. Like Dan said, are you jamming one or two fighters? If you are, it's 1. If you're not, it's probably 2.
It also depends how many lineups you're playing.
Right.
I mean, for me personally, like if I was playing fewer lineups, I would probably want to be a little more aggressive and be heavier on guys than I would in a 150. So maybe if I was
that's what I'm doing. I jam 2 fighters and play, you know,
so maybe if I was like playing 20 and doing that, I would maybe go down to 1. But in general, I think 2 is good.
Yep, I like it. Brady's got a stat on Hines. I'll wait for that stat. And all right, that's it. Diniz wins with a kick to the head. All right, I like it. Yeah, he sucks. I was gonna finish it for you, but I was just gonna wait. All right, so yeah, Dan, I think one of the, just looking at the Diniz fight, it's interesting. Like his significant strike line is only 28.5. If you like the over, I wonder if you like the more on that. But I
definitely like.
I think this ends quick, so I'd be the opposite of Dan probably here because I think it ends quicker than Dan. Let's get to the next fight here. Let's see. We got Nico Price versus Jacob Smith. Smith is a nasty prospect here. The guy's got hands, power, and really good wrestling on top of it. So, you know, this is one of those fights where it's going to come down to price, right, Dan? Smith is 9,900, which we don't see every day. We don't see that very often. There is a reason, though. He's got the potential to be a really good fantasy scorer with just the way he fights. You know, he's got massive power. He can finish you with his hands, can finish you quick. He can ground and pound the shit out of you if he gets you down. And he can get a bunch of takedowns if you survive. So if you're surviving, he could be getting a bunch of takedowns, control time. So there's a few paths for him. You know, obviously you want probably the quick win bonus with him. And Nico Price has been knocked out a few times in his career. So Dan, it kind of sets up, I mean, the line for Smith by KO is like minus 350 on DraftKings Sportsbook right now. So you're not betting that, but maybe we can find a bet with Smith, Dan. I don't know if it's to win via, you know, round 1 KO. I think that's like minus 140 or something. I don't know if I see a ton from a betting side, but I do think from a DK fantasy side, Smith is intriguing because I think people are going to struggle to fit him unless they play one of these 6K fighters.
I mean, I've got like the thing about pricing this week is 9,900 this week isn't really as restrictive in practice as it seems, kind of like on its face, because there's a huge gap between him and Topuria. It's like 9,900, 9,300. So you're not really, there's nobody else to really spend up for in that top range of salary. And then you've got a ton of live dogs. You've got a ton of high upside fighters in the mid range. So Smith is like not actually that hard to fit. I've got him projected for around mid 30s of ownership. I think he'll probably come in around there. I'm going to try to get it over on him. And I think the way I'm going to have to do that is I'm going to be playing a lot of Charles. I'm going to be playing a lot of Kai Kara-France. Because I mean, I think they're both live, but Jacoby, like you mentioned, his inside the distance lines are just absolutely insane. And this is like the most teed up matchup of teed up matchups that I think I've ever seen. Like Nico Price could not defend. Like I think I could take Nico Price down legitimately. Like he's got no takedown defense. And his chin is just absolutely dust. So like, I don't even think Smith necessarily needs a quick win bonus. I think he could probably land a few takedowns, control time, ground and pound him out of there. That would score well enough. I think maybe Jacoby Smith could be optimal with like a 105, I think. Because like Topuria at 9,300 isn't necessarily like, we'll get to him later, but he's not really like he's like so efficient. He's not even really a top flight DFS scorer. So I really don't see much reason to not just unload on Jacoby Smith and just get a ton of exposure there.
Yeah, I guess the reason in your head you'd make up is, what if he doesn't get the bonus and then he gets the finish and he only scores like, low hundreds or something like that, Dan, and someone else does get the win bonus, or like two people get the win or something like that, or two guys put up 120 or something, I guess. Or the other way would be like very few dogs winning. So like Jacob Smith puts up this good score, maybe even gets over 109, but like no dogs winning, and like the mid tier all crushes and somehow is the winner. I don't know. I'm just like looking at it like that'd be ways I guess he doesn't get there. I agree with you though, and I think people are gonna naturally struggle to get up to him, especially people hand building, because like they're gonna want to get more of that mid tier. So I think, what's his ownership coming in at? Because I feel like it's going to be a little suppressed, even though he's got massive odds to win inside the distance.
I've got him like mid 30s, just because you've got Joshua Van, Dariush, Hyder Amil, Borshchev, Talbott, Hermansson, like you've got the 2 5-round dogs. Like you have all these 8K and below options.
Yeah, but people are going to want to play Pantoja and Topuria. Topuria's got a big name and has a good inside the distance number, and Pantoja, everyone's going to look at how he scores and be like, how am I not playing a guy that's consistently giving me 100 and,
I can see that. I can see that. I think he'll still hit like mid to high 30s, just because there isn't really anybody else to spend up for.
Yeah. Okay.
But I mean,
I think that makes those guys maybe better plays than if you think their ownership's going to be. I was thinking Smith's ownership was going to be suppressed by everyone jamming the 5-round fights, but
they're all going to be really owned up here. I mean, like we just talked about Diniz, he's only going to be 25% up here. So like Diniz is a pivot up here. Cortez, I've got it like 10%. She's a pivot, not one that I'm really trying to get to. Lima.
Yeah, like Diniz, unless he gets that bonus, he's not scoring more than Smith, I don't think. Like he needs the bonus, I think, Diniz, whereas Smith doesn't need the bonus. That's the difference.
Smith has way more ways to score. Like Smith, Smith could be optimal in a second round win here on this slate at 9,900. So I like Smith a lot more. I mean, Smith just has the most upside out of anybody in here.
So I was looking at
aside from like Pantoja.
I was looking at Smith control time, minute 30. I mean, if he doesn't get the win bonus, I feel like this is very doable. Minute 30, that's not much. You can still get a round 1 win and have a minute 30 of control time. So I kind of like the over.
It's more just like a bet on can Nico Price survive for a minute 30 on the bottom.
Yep.
I think he probably
on the bottom getting his face smashed in. Can he give us a minute 30 of getting his face smashed in? I mean, Nico Price, and I wrote this up too when looking at this, he has went to the 3rd round in 4 of his last 5 fights. So, I know it's not Jacoby Smith, but he has been somewhat durable in his last 4 or 5, just from like a lasting perspective, going, getting out of the 1st round outside of one of those fights.
Fighting like Demba Garimbo and who else was it? And beating Alex Morono, who honestly, I think Jacoby Smith probably
Phil Rowe finished him late.
Yeah. I guess I can make a little case for Nico Price here. He probably knows that he's not winning an extended fight, so he's going to come out aggressive and he's going to try to knock Smith out early. It's not
going to end well for old Nico Price. He's going to be flat on his back. It's just a matter of, like you said, I think he's going to end up flat on his back pretty quickly. Yeah. So it's like, can Smith find a finish? And remember, Smith is not like an insane like submission artist. He's like a ground and pound guy. So it's very, in my head, I can make a case that Nico Price could at least dog it out for a minute and a half on his back. I can make that case, as opposed to like the quick sub.
This matchup,
I say that, and now he's going to get his first sub, but that's That's
This
the
matchup
way it
serves a
goes.
dual purpose, right? It's like you're setting up one of your a prospect that you really like. You know, you're giving him a name that he can just go out and smash on a
They're
pay-per-view
doing
card.
the exact same thing they did with that other kid, Dan, when they
But
had
they're also trying to get rid of Nico Price. Like Nico Price at this point, he's been around for so long. Like they're probably he's getting paid. He's getting paid to
I mean,
fight.
Nico's got knocked out. Jacoby
Yeah.
Smith's got power. They know this is setting up to be a.
They're not giving him any easy fights, dude, because he
No.
makes so much money. He's not, he's not really all that competitive. So it's like they're only going to feed him to absolute killers. And
Yeah.
I think, oh man, he might be leaving behind seven children.
Well, chat likes Smith by hospital, so
Yeah,
up
hospital
K-Fel
130 seems likely.
All right, that's enough with that. We're both high on Smith. Let's go to another fight where it's definitely a closely lined fight. One of my favorite fights on the card, actually. We got Slava Borshchev here, Borshchev 7,600 versus Terrence McKinney, one of our favorite DFS fighters of all time, for one simple reason, which is these fights end pretty quickly, majority of the time. And either way, the fights end, Dan. That's the key. Whether it's in the first round or it's in the second round, all of his fights end. And a majority of them end in the first round. The fights that go to the second round, he's not winning. So if you are betting on Terrence McKinney, you are pretty much hoping he can get this done early, within, for sure, under 1.5, for sure, but most likely in the first round. And what do you got here? Because McKinney, 8,600, he is a DFS, like a DFS darling, kind of. You get like the hundreds, or you're getting like 2 or 20, right? And Slava, say what you want about Slava, but Slava's tough, man. Slava's one of those guys, like, even the Chase Hooper fight, he was on the ground with Chase Hooper for like 6 minutes. Literally, he got dropped in the first minute and spent the rest of the first round pretty much dry on the ground with Chase Hooper and stayed alive somehow. And that's against Chase Hooper, who is like one of the best grapplers, in the division. Now we're going to Terrence McKinney, which I do think people think his path, the easiest path, is to wrestle. So what are you doing here with Terrence and Borshchev?
I mean, yeah, Terrence is he's a solid wrestler and grappler, man. Like I think a lot of people so this fight is kind of simple to break down. It's like McKinney is the textbook definition of a glass cannon. He's now been a pro for 8 years. He's fought in 23 pro fights, and he's won in a second round a single time. He's never made it to a third round. So basically what you're looking at here, we have a really, really long track record of Terrence McKinney either winning in the first round or gassing and dying in getting finished, maybe at the end of the first round or definitely in the second round. So it's obviously McKinney early, Slava Claus late. I think if Slava can take this to a second round, he's going to knock McKinney out. And again, like it seems a bit reductive, but we have a really, really long track record of Terrence McKinney, and this is just who he is. I think, I don't even necessarily I guess he would be smart to attack Borshchev on the ground just because, his takedown defense is not very good. McKinney's got a pretty nasty submission game. I think I would much rather see McKinney try to go out there and knock him out, though.
So naturally, I would tend to agree with you. The problem is, I do think Slava, you can take him down. What I don't think is easy, though, is keeping him down, because Slava scrambling, watch the Nolan fight, watch even the Chase Hooper fight, watch the Sadikov fight. Whenever he got down, that dude just never stops. Like, he just keeps working. He keeps trying to scramble, catch a switch, do anything to get back to his feet. And he is a beast. Like I said, Chase Hooper kind of just floated through to stay with him. But like all these other guys, like Nolan, and Sadikov, they struggled to keep Borshchev down, even when he was hurt. Like, even when he'd get hurt and they'd go to the ground, they would struggle to like keep him there for long periods of time because Borshchev's just kind of a dog. So, like you said, I don't know if I think his best path to maybe getting the finish early is to wrestle and try and submit him. I just don't think it's as easy as people are going to think it's going to be. And I agree with you. I think he should be trying to get him out of there on the feet, because like the more he wrestles early, just the more he's going to gas out if Slav, because whenever you have these high level scrambles, which is what Slava's going to make him do his work, what does that do? That's what's killing your gas tank. It's not like wrestling to wrestle. Like a wrestler, like you can wrestle, get him to the ground, and then from there you're just working to improve your position. But when a guy is just never letting you just work and he's just constantly making you work, even when he's on the ground with you, that's when you get tired. And that's what Borshchev's going to do. So I think it would be honestly a mistake if he doesn't get him out of there early. He's going to tire out. And if he tires out, Borshchev second round KO, very live. I think I bet it already. I think it was like plus 700. Borshchev round 2 KO. Borshchev's one of my favorite dogs on the card. The level of striking is just so much different between the guys McKinney is just crushing and Borshchev. Borshchev's kickboxing is legit nasty. He fought to a draw with Sadikov, and he honestly was winning the fight. He just got like one, I think it was a head kick, where it just really fucked him up. And then he got an elbow on the ground, which totally cut him up. And it gave like the 28-28 draw. But for that round and a half before that head kick, he was winning the fight. And he won the third round, Dan. So after he got the head kick, the bad cut, he found a way to win that third round after that, which just shows you the difference between these two guys. Slava's a dog. And I think he wins out.
We've seen Slava get hurt, but never finished. So, I mean,
besides Chase Hooper subbing him, which I think is
different.
I
meant to say knocked out. He's never been like knocked out.
And he was really hurt in that Sadikov fight. He was really hurt in that Nazim fight.
Yeah, and he pushed through. I think maybe Borshchev, if McKinney looks really good in round 1, I mean, I don't know if you'd even get the live betting opportunity, because in a sense, I feel like the book on McKinney is out. But if you can get plus money on Borshchev before the start of round 2, I would slam that.
Yeah, I'm already. Well, yeah, like if Terrence like somehow dominates him in round 1, and then you can get like a nice number on him. I don't know if they'd give you like that big of a number, but
I'm not sure how good it would be, just because like, you know, we know how Terrence McKinney fight. We know how his fights go at this point.
So I'm gonna be heavy on Borshchev. I'm betting Borshchev DFS. I like his over on significant strikes at 17.5. That's just a crazy low number. And like I said, if I think it gets into round 2, I think he can easily, because Borshchev, he's not like a one-punch power guy. He's a volume guy. He volumes you up. So I think in a finish, Dan, he's going to get a bunch of shots. It's not going to be like one big shot puts him out. It's going to be a volume set that finishes McKinney. So I like the over on significant strikes here for pick 6. And this is a good fight to target, though. If you think, you know, I'm wrong and you like the Terrence side, you got to like round 1, then I think you should jam Terrence. If you're with me, Slava's a good dog to bet because he's cheap and you think he can get a finish because every Terrence fight is finishing. So
yeah, I mean, from like a DFS perspective, McKinney is going to probably be approaching 50% owned. Which that's going to be really hard for me to get to. He still rates out amazingly. Like even my ownership adjusted stuff, obviously, like for the price, his finishing odds, he's going to rate out amazing. I think he's a great play, but he's going to be approaching 50% and Slava is going to be like 25. So, I mean, I don't want to say guarantee, but it feels almost like if Borshchev makes it to the second round, it's a lock for him to get a finish. And if you can guarantee me a Borshchev at least round 2 finish at 25%, 7,600, like I'm loading up on that, dude. So
That's what I think, man. You're literally betting against him not getting finished in round 1, which it has not happened. And he's fought some really good fighters, and it has not happened.
Yeah.
So, yeah, maybe Terrence does it. But either way, DFS, great fight to get over on. If you're playing 150, I would jam this fight. Someone is definitely going down. So, that's it for this fight here. Let's go to the next fight. Not as exciting from a DFS side, but we got Tracy Cortez, 8,900 for Cortez versus Viviane Araujo. Araujo, 7,300 on DraftKings here, Dan. A lot of decisions for Araujo here. She does have skills, obviously gets to the ground. She does have some grappling skills here, but Tracy also does. She's got wrestling too. She did get taken down by Rose in her last fight, but as we've seen, Rose has those skills to take her down. She did fight to get back up though. Eventually, it's not like she stuck it out for rounds and rounds on her back. So I do think that Tracy Cortez is probably the better, faster striker when it comes down to it. Araujo's more like a one punch and move. She does want to get to her wrestling and grappling as well. But I think, Dan, if this does stay on the feet, I do kind of lean Tracy Cortez. To me, like the Jasmine fight, she looked really good on the feet. Jasmine just kept moving forward, but she was winning a lot of the striking exchanges. And most people aren't Jasmine, just like eating shots and just still walking forward here. And Rose, obviously she lost to Rose, but like Rose was just so much faster than her and she had takedowns. So she had like both, you know what I mean? Like she had kind of both to get it. I don't know if Vivi's going to have both of those checked off to be better than Tracy. So I think Tracy wins the decision. I don't think it scores well in DFS. So I don't want to talk about it too much from a DraftKings side. What do you think?
I want Araujo here, man. I actually think she's the better striker. I think she's the better grappler. I think she's really strong defensively. Cortez at 8,900, she's going to be 10% owned, but I think that is justified. Like usually I would advocate for getting over on these ladies, but I don't see like the upside case for Cortez. She doesn't have a high ceiling. She's not a high ceiling fighter. She's got the wrestling base, but she's never landed more than 3 takedowns in a UFC fight. I know she had 4 in her Contender Series fight against Agapova, but since then it's been 3 or less. That's really not going to do it at 8,900, considering like her striking volume is not there. She's not a threat to finish. So Cortez, 10%. I'm going to get over that by default because you kind of just have to on this slate with a limited amount of options if you're playing 150. Not excited about it, but the usual caveats about women's MMA always apply no matter what. It's scored more leniently. It's generally pretty low level, which leads to, can lead to some pretty wild exchanges, a lot of scoring.
I just don't think this fits that bill, though. I don't think they're low level.
No, I'm saying though, at like 10%. Well, yeah. Relative to the guys, right?
Right, exactly.
I actually prefer Araujo way more here for DFS. I mean, I'm picking her straight up. The line has swung pretty massively towards her. She's still plus money, but it's a lot less now. We saw Araujo last time out. She scored like 80? Yeah, she had 80 in a 3-round decision. Decision win at 7K. I believe that was good enough to be optimal. Maybe not, but I'm going to be playing a good amount of Araujo, mainly because I think she wins. And at 7,300, maybe something between like 70s and 80s. I mean, we keep saying all the dogs are live. Don't mean a bunch of them are going to win. They very much could win. But if you have a slate, especially this short slate, where Araujo is only projecting to be, I've got her at 12%. So you've got someone who's 12%, 7,300, who I think is going to win. And depending on the state or, how the rest of the dogs shake out, Araujo could easily hit the optimal.
Yeah, I definitely think she's the better DFS play. I agree with you. One thing that does concern me, though, is, the fact that Araujo will slow down at times.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Carini Silva fight, I know she won the fight, but she only won the fight kind of because Carini Silva gassed out even more than Araujo. Like both girls were tired. It's just Carini Silva just kept like falling on her back and just trying to rest on her back. Like it was bad. Both girls were exhausted. And then the Natalia Silva fight, I don't. Any girl that loses to Natalia Silva, it's fine because Natalia Silva is amazing. And she never stops moving. So, like, for someone like Araujo, it's so annoying to fight someone like that because she's just constantly moving. She hits you once or twice, and then she's just on her bike and just circling and just never stops for 3 rounds. And her takedown defense is amazing. But, yeah, I'm going to not play Tracy Cortez in DFS. I will have some Araujo, like you said, at the price tag. I think it's, fine to have some.
Araujo at 12%. I'm probably going to have like double that.
Look at the Borshchev line. Significant strikes just went up to 19.5, baby. We're moving.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else here from this fight, Dan? Do you like any of these numbers, by the way? Significant strikes, 49.5 for Araujo, 56.5 for Cortez.
Significant strikes. I would go under fantasy points on Cortez.
Yeah. I wish I could go under on significant strikes for Araujo. I feel like there's going to be a lot of clinching in this fight. I feel like there's going to be a ton of on the fence.
She's put up. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I probably wouldn't hit the more, but I think she could definitely hit it in this matchup. I do honestly think she's the better striker here.
Where is Jonathan? JBC is currently traveling and in the Rumpier Sports Discord. So if you want JBC's takes, you can sign up. JBC 100K win, still free week. You got to sign up for the month, but you get a free week with that. So you can get all JBC's takes. He is actually traveling, though. I don't know where exactly he's going, but he's in the car for a few hours, I think, or something like that. So he is not on the show today. But like I said, he already posted all of his bets. I'm pretty sure a lot of his content's already up for MMA today. So you can go check that out. And like I said, use that code JBC 100K win. Gets you a free week. All right. Let's go to the next fight here, Dan.
If Burner is asking under 57.5, 6 strikes for Cortez. Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah, the under on that's probably a better play. Like, guys, I would like the under on both because I think we're going to see a lot of, like I said, like the clinch battle and some wrestling and probably not much done with the wrestling on either side. So
on paper, this is just not a very high upside matchup at all. But we know how that goes, man. I've seen these women's fights where you're like, this is the worst fucking fantasy fight.
There's a reason though why we don't have an under on Araujo significant strikes at 49.5. Just say that. So all right. Next fight on the card. Awesome fight here. We've got Jose Delgado, 8,500 on DraftKings versus Hyder Amil. Amil 7,700. Both guys very intriguing prospects here. Both guys coming off of a win. Amil, last win was by decision, where he still scored 96 fantasy points. So he still scored pretty damn well in a decision. And Jose Delgado coming off of a finish here. I'm pretty sure all 9 of his wins have come via finish, whether it was a submission or via KO. So very dangerous guy. Both guys extremely dangerous here, Dan. And I know the line is kind of moving more and more towards the Amil side. Delgado sitting like a -142 favorite right now. What are you doing here with this fight? Because Amil definitely seems very live as a dog.
Man, I love this fight. Both of these guys are all offense, ultra aggressive. They're just looking to pressure, get in your face, throw volume. Delgado mixes in the wrestling beautifully. I I mean, I love both of these guys. I think they both like they're the antithesis of what we've been complaining about for weeks now with these fighters who just like play it too safe and too smart. These guys are not that. Like Amil particularly does not give a shit. He will just go forward and wing bombs at you for as long as he can, and he can do it for 3 full rounds. So, I mean, yeah, both of these guys are super high priority for me. I just love this matchup as a whole. I've been wrong about Amil pretty much the whole time he's been in the UFC. I'm ready to like jump on board now. The ownership is going to be there, but I think it's warranted, man. This is just like this is one of the best fight environments on the entire slate, and I think if you wanted to kind of like pivot off of the McKinney ultra chalk, I think Delgado is an amazing pivot.
Yeah, I agree. I think for good reason, a lot of people are going to be on Amil. So if you want the leverage, the leverage play is probably Jose Delgado. And I don't think this is a fight, though, you should take a hard stance on, Dan. I think one of these guys, whoever wins, is going to score pretty well at their price tag. I do think this fight ends inside the distance. I think one of these guys gets finished here. So whoever you think it is, they just, they fight perfectly for this fight to end. There's going to be a ton of like car crashes. They're going to swing. Both guys are not afraid to trade. Both guys have grappling too. Both guys will take it to the mat. I do think Delgado is probably the better grappler. Yes. We've seen Amil have his back taken after hurting someone, being in an advantageous position, and then getting stuff reversed. So not that he's afraid to go to the ground with Delgado. I don't think that. I'm just saying, like, I've seen him winning fights and then end up having his back taken out of nowhere and, almost getting submitted by Fernie Garcia. So, we got to be, and Garcia did catch his chin twice. That's the other thing about Hyder is, like you said, he swings. Like he's not afraid to trade with you. So like you can catch him and hurt him. But it's hard to put him out. That's the thing. He's just really tough. But I do think one of these guys gets put out. If it's Delgado, I think it's the club and sub, because I think Hyder's just so damn tough. I don't know if he's getting just fully knocked out, like put out, lights out. I think he would have to get like knocked down and subbed out probably. So I don't mind the sub number for Delgado. I think it's like plus 400 if I remember correctly. And if you like the Hyder side, I think you got to kind of like a finish for him too, just with the way he fights. So I'm going to slam this fight in DFS. Again, I like taking strong stances on certain fights. Like I'm taking a strong stance on the Terrence McKinney Slava fight. Fights like this, though, I don't want to take a strong stance. I do think Delgado wins, but I do think you should have both of these guys if you're playing like 20 lineups or 30 lineups or 150. If you're making one, my pick is Delgado. I think he does win, but that's just where I'm at. Dan, who are you taking here? You on the dog?
Yeah, I picked Amil. Line's been crashing towards him ever since weigh-ins. But like I don't feel particularly strongly about the pick. Either of these guys can win. It's going to be highly competitive, tons of action.
Yep.
This is just it's a great matchup, man. I'm really, really looking forward to this fight. And you touched on it. The thing, like Delgado, he just has so many ways to win. Yeah, man, I really like both of these guys. FK in the comments is saying likes the odds on Amil to win by decision, but it's a disgusting sweat. Yeah, that is a gross sweat. But to that point, even if this fight goes to decision, I think either of these guys can be optimal. That's what I love the most about it. It's like McKinney, Slava, you are going to need a finish. You're almost, I'm not going to say it's a lock, but it's like pretty close to a lock. You will get a finish. This one, Delgado Amil, you don't even need a finish. Like, I think this scores no matter how it plays out.
Yeah, and if you believe that both of these guys are tough, I feel like the significant strike numbers are low on both of them. If you don't think there's a first round finish, if you think it's later, these guys could get over this in 2 rounds, honestly, with the way they fight. So, I like this fight a lot. I'm going to be over on it for DFS. Let's go to the next fight here. We got Jack Hermansson, 7,400 versus RoboCop, Gregory Rodriguez. Rodriguez coming off of a tough loss to Jared Cannonier where he had him hurt. He did, Dan, what we all want our fighters to do, which is to try and finish the fight. And he kind of got screwed for it. Ended up losing, getting finished in the 4th round. But I can't be mad at it. I had RoboCop in that fight, and man, he had him, and he just couldn't get the net. Like, he couldn't finish him, but he tried, and that's what you want from your fighter. So. I do think, Jack Hermansson coming off of, win to Joe Piper, losing to Diniz, fighting Chris Curtis, all those guys, Dan, I feel like they don't give you the danger that is Gregory Rodriguez, all around danger too. Guy's got grappling when he wants to use it. Guy's got obvious power. I think this is RoboCop. RoboCop shouldn't even use his grappling though, because that's what Hermansson wants. If this stays striking, I think it's huge advantage RoboCop, and I think he finds that finish he was looking for in the last fight.
Yeah, and he's going to need a finish to hit the optimal. Rodriguez, he is a BJJ black belt, but he doesn't grapple or wrestle until he's in trouble on the feet. So I don't really expect to see too much wrestling or grappling offense from him, which, he also doesn't throw a ton of volume. It's really just about if he can get the early finish here. It's not the easiest matchup. Hermansson has been hurt and finished before, so it's certainly possible. But for the most part, he's been pretty durable and pretty tough. And he knows how to stay safe. So, I've got a little bit of hesitation with Rodriguez just because I think you kind of want him to be able to just kind of come in and steamroll the guy across from him if you're going to get a ceiling from him. And I don't think that's necessarily going to happen here. If it's competitive and Hermansson can extend him, he's likely going to bust and not score well. Got even less interest in Hermansson. I'll probably have around like 20s just because short slate. He's a dog who can win, savvy vet. I'm not going to count him out at all, but it doesn't really seem like a great matchup for him to find a ceiling. Usually Hermansson will find his ceilings, obviously with finishes or with domination in like the wrestling and grappling, and Rodriguez has rock solid takedown and grappling defense. So I don't really see a path of domination for Hermansson. I don't really see him finding a finish here with a plus 560 inside the distance line. Although Rodriguez doesn't exactly have a cast iron chin. So I'm not going to rule out Hermansson being able to catch him and put him out, but I don't think it's all that likely. So just to kind of sum it up, you're going to need Rodriguez early. I'm not sure how easily he's going to be able to get Hermansson out of there. Hermansson can, come on late, but I question his ceiling.
Yeah, and someone asked for the promo. I just typed it into the chat. Remember, it has to be used for, at least the JVC 100K win promo has to be used for a monthly package, and you get a week free. But it has to be used on a monthly package. If you want to use RPS 15, that you can use on any package, and it gets you 15% off as well. So I guess the question is just, do you think this is a decision fight, or do you think RoboCop can find the finish? I think he can find the finish here, Dan, but I kind of like the under if I were to pick one on significant strikes, because I do think if he finds it, it could be a quick one. Like that's in the realm of possibility. So if Hermansson can just like dance around, stick and move, because he's not going to want to get into the pocket with him. That's like definitely what he doesn't want to do with because RoboCop's fine like trading with Jack Hermansson, I'm sure. So, he's probably going to want to try and move, not get backed up towards the fence and get caught. So it just kind of depends how you think this fight lays out. If it's a decision fight and RoboCop wins, like he's probably not scoring well enough to be on the optimal here. So
yeah. Overall, it's like a pretty tough matchup for either of these guys to hit their ceiling. And like, as far as Rodriguez goes, he's 8,800. He's right below Pantoja, Diniz, Topuria, Smith, and he's got McKinney right below him. And I just straight up prefer all of those options to Rodriguez. And then same goes for Hermansson. Like down here, he's 74K. I prefer Amil, Borshchev, Talbott, maybe obviously Cara France, Oliveira, obviously. Like they're just way better finishers down here with much higher ceilings and fighters who produce a lot more offense. So, mix Hermansson in just as like a dog who can win. And similar to Araujo, it's like it really depends on how the rest of the dogs fare on this slate. Could Hermansson hit the optimal with like an 80 and a win? Maybe. It's not something I'm gonna like heavily bet on, but it's definitely within the range of outcomes.
Yeah, fair enough. I do think Cape Felix says I see it going to decision. If you do think that, then it's probably dog or pass from a DFS side if you think it's a just fight. So all right.
Decision.
Not as high on that fight. Let's go to the next fight here. We got my boy Felipe Lima, 8,700 for Lima versus Peyton Talbott, 7,500 for Peyton Talbott here. I do think Talbott's going to be another one of those dogs that's pretty popular. He's been a massive favorite. People like him. He's got a fun style. He did lose to Hani Barcelos last time out, where the takedowns obviously were a big issue for him. And Hani's shown that, he's legit, obviously. He's got those. But, Felipe Lima, he might not be as relentless as Hani when it comes to the takedowns, but maybe he might be more aggressive as a grappler, like trying to finish like aggressive-wise. And I think he's super talented. I think he's really talented on the feet. I think he's got good takedowns and good grappling when he gets down there. So I think this is going to be a really fun fight. Two very, very high level, prospects. If Lima can get Talbot down, which I do think he can, I think he can control the fight. The question is just, do you think it's more a decision fight or a fight that finishes Dan? I feel like this fight is probably going to the cards. Mm-hmm. So I can see why more people are on the dog. Now, maybe Felipe Lima volumes up the takedowns, but, does he get like 6? Does he get like a massive amount or something? That's the question in a decision you got to ask yourself. So, yeah, I don't think so either. I think he can do well on the ground. I just don't know if he's going to I don't know if he's going to like shoot like that. You know what I mean? Like over and over. So I do have Lima winning. I do think this fight goes to decision. I don't mind, though, a sprinkle on the submission prop plus 500 for Lima. Because like I said, he does have good grappling and he is aggressive with it. So I don't mind that sprinkle. But what do you see here, Dan? Lima and Talbot.
Yeah, this line feels like a pretty massive overreaction to the Barcelos fight. And like you already kind of touched on, Barcelos took him down eight times on 15 attempts. I don't think Lima is shooting 15 takedowns. I don't think he's getting anywhere near that many takedowns. Barcelos was, obviously if you're getting 8 takedowns, your opponent is getting up, right? So I think Talbot's got pretty good get up. He stuffed half of the takedown, so obviously the takedown defense isn't that bad. Barcelos is just a different kind of guy, man. Like we saw him, 2 weeks ago? The guy is a dog. He just does not stop coming at you. I don't know if Lima is going to be able to repeatedly take Talbot down or hold him down, because I think Talbot is probably the more physical fighter. I think he's going to be the bigger, more physical, imposing fighter in this matchup. And Lima's ceiling is just kind of non-existent without an early finish. He doesn't really throw all that much volume. He's like really skilled and really technical. He's flashed, finishing upside, but he's plus 400 to win inside the distance. He's 8,700. He's surrounded by a ton of better finishers who produce way more offense. So, Lima is going to be a contrarian play up here. Not one that I think I'm personally going to get to all that much, because I just really, really doubt his ceiling outside of an early finish, which I don't think he'll get. And I'm going to ride with Talbot here, man. I think Talbot is way more like his inside the distance number is slightly better, but you've got a difference of nearly $1,000. It's like what? It's like $800 difference.
Yeah, like no, it's like 1,200, right?
No, yeah, you're right. 1,200.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like $1,200 difference. And
I was like, the math ain't math in there, Dan.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right. Yeah, Talbot's definitely the better. He's probably the better DFS play. I think I'm higher on Lima from like a real life standpoint than I am like a DFS standpoint. So I like Lima a little bit more than you in this fight, but I agree with you that I don't know if like the upside's going to be there for DFS, or at least what we want in DFS. So
it is.
Math is hard. Yeah. Dove KJ, math, math's hard, man. It's not for some people.
I mean, I definitely prefer Talbot, but it's mainly because of his finishing upside. I don't think he's necessarily going to I don't think he's going to get there in a decision. I don't think the striking volume is quite enough, even though it is better than Lima's, and he doesn't offer any wrestling or grappling. So Talbot is pretty much finish or bust down here at 7,500, but this is the cheapest I think we've ever seen him. He's only going to be like 25% owned. And like I said off the top, this just feels like a pretty big overreaction. And I think some money is actually coming in on Talbot now.
Yeah, I think so too.
He's down to a plus 147, down from, earlier in the week, he was like plus 170, and now he's down to like plus 145. So
yeah, I think the initial line might have been a little overreaction. I think the line now is probably more the correct line. Like what it is now is probably more on the right
how much
path.
Are you really going to ding him for getting, out wrestled and grappled by Ronnie Barcelos?
I'm not going to ding him. I just think Felipe Lima might be like the best prospect in this division.
Interesting.
So maybe I'm just too high on Felipe Lima. I think he's like an all-around really good fighter. Who's super young. Like both these guys are, but
yeah,
I think he's just got like the all-around skills. So I might be wrong on him. I've been high on him the last couple fights.
I wouldn't be surprised at all if Lima won. Like I like Lima a lot too. I think he's highly skilled. I just think the value is definitely on the Talbot side, and the DFS upside is on the Talbot side.
Right. Yeah. Like for DFS, I have more Talbot just because of the price. Like the price is included there. I do think over 1.5 takedowns could happen for Lima. 2 takedowns is not a ton. So, I don't hate that. Let's go to the next fight though, Dan. We're starting to get to the point where we're getting a lot of the closely lined fights that I think a lot of people are going to disagree on one way or another. Like if you're on one side, the other side is just completely wrong. Type of disagreements here, Dan. So these are the fun disagreements. We've got Beneil Dariush, 7,800 versus Nato Moicano, Money Moicano, 8,400 on DraftKings here, Dan. And I think this line's flipped. I think Dariush is now a slight favorite, like very slight, like minus 115, minus 105.
Yep.
It's pretty much a pick 'em though. I mean, these guys are, in my opinion, I think this fight is very close. These guys are very close. Both have, great grappling. Honestly, I think it could nullify to where it's a mainly standing matchup. Mm-hmm. So, and I do think this fight could finish too. I think one of these guys can put the other guy out, because when you're not worried about going to the ground, which I don't think either of these guys are worried about going to the ground one way or the other, they're going to be okay with just moving forward and meeting in the middle a little bit more and trading off. So I do think one of these guys can get knocked down, put out. I know you don't like Moicano's standing. You don't like him, striking as much. I do have Moicano winning. I also think for DFS with this line flipping too, I think Moicano is going to be lower owned because people are going to see 7,800, better odds, like all that stuff for Dariush. And I think a lot of people think the way you think, where he's the better play overall because of the striking. You think there's a wider gap in the striking. So talk about that. I do think Dariush is going to catch some steam at 7,800.
I just think it's a poor matchup for Moicano. Like Moicano, his whole game is predicated on just taking you down and, using suffocating control and ground and pound and hunting for submissions once the fight gets to the ground. The biggest knock on Dariush is that his chin is absolutely dusted. And while that might be true, Moicano doesn't really have the skill set on the feet to really take advantage of that. Moicano has never knocked anyone down at distance, let alone knocked anybody out. Like all of his striking finishes are from ground and pound. And so basically, in order for Moicano to, win and hit a ceiling, he's going to need to get this fight to the ground. And like, good fucking luck with that, dude. Dariush's wrestling and grappling defense are both borderline elite. So I'm not saying it can't happen. Moicano has been, he's been on a tear. He's been overperforming, for the better part of a couple of years now. So I'm not counting him out at all. Dariush's chin is sus. If he gets Dariush to the ground, I can absolutely see him just ground and pounding him into fucking oblivion. So I'm not saying it can't happen, but at 8,400 with so many other strong options up in this range, like, Moicano is definitely going to get squeezed. So, well, let's see how much I'm getting of him. I have him projected to be about 27% right now.
And I think it could come under that just a little bit. But yeah, that's probably
at the moment, I'm under that on Moicano. I obviously favor McKinney, Delgado, Royval, Van.
Right.
And then just in the same matchup.
That's my thing is he's like the last on a lot of people's list in that range.
Yeah, he's going to get squeezed for sure. So it makes him a good tournament play because his inside the distance number plus 190, it's not particularly strong for this range. And it kind of reflects the matchup concerns that I have where I really think he needs to get him to the ground. And I'm not sure he's going to be able to do that all that easily. Just because he can't take advantage of Dariush's biggest weakness on the feet. Or at least he's not shown anything to this. Like he's been in the UFC and been fighting for a long time, and he's never really shown that he can strike like that at distance. He's got power in his hands. So could he land a shot? Sure, but you can't really project that happening all too often, at least not in my opinion. And yeah, I like Dariush at 7,800. Do I think he's going to find a ton of wrestling and grappling success against Moicano? Not really. I'm kind of like less confident that he'll even find a finish, but so the ceiling on Dariush to me is a little bit questionable. But Moicano has been chinned before too. Like Moicano he's not the most durable guy going. And I do think Dariush is going to have a pretty big advantage on the feet. So I like Dariush as a play. I'll probably have slightly more than him than Moicano. But like you said off the top, when you have two like high-level wrestler grapplers like this, a lot of times they tend to neutralize each other. So this fight has a really wide range of outcomes. It's an interesting one. If the ownership comes down on Moicano a little bit leading up to lock, I'll probably be a little bit more interested in him. But I have to favor the other options up here.
Yeah, I just have this feeling that this fight is going to finish. And Dariush's chin does worry me a little bit. And I know he's, the guys he's fighting, obviously killers, in their own right. So it's like, do you want to throw those out? But it's just, man, I struggle with it. And on top of it, like Moicano's won fights where I don't even think he's necessarily the better fighter and he's winning them. So like, you say he's like probably not the better striker. Maybe he's not better on the ground, but like he's winning sometimes in those fights. So I think he's more live than maybe you give him credit for. And I think even though the striking maybe not as good as Dariush, I just worry more about the Dariush chin, which makes me think like, okay, like Moicano in theory could put him down. Like that's not crazy.
I definitely think Moicano is live. I just think it's closer to a 50-50 fight. And
but it is a 50-50 fight. The line is literally like the The line is literally saying it's -112, -108 right now on DraftKings.
Right. As far as DK pricing goes, because you've got
yeah, but that's going to give you lower ownership, so that's why I think it's like a leverage play pretty much. It's the plays that you always end up getting over on because they're like bad in theory, but like lower owned, and those combos are going to be less and less because less people are clicking on them.
Yeah, let me see where all my ownership is going for.
I'll be surprised if you don't get over on him at the ownership that he's going to come in at.
At the moment, I'm under on him, but I haven't really.
I think Moicano is going to end up being like 21, 22%, somewhere in that range.
If he ends up like 20%, I'll probably be over on him there. But if this holds like 25, 27%, then I probably get slightly less than that, maybe around that. We'll see. I'm going to update ownership like probably right when we get off the show.
All right, so you're on Dariush. I'm on Moicano. Let's get to the next pick'em style fight, I would say anyways. And this is the fight I've had the hardest problem with all week. Because going into the week, Dan, I looked at this fight. I said Joshua Van, -125. Brandon Royval, +105. What am I missing? Brandon Royval has beaten pretty much everyone outside of Pantoja, and Joshua Van was only like a +160 favorite against Reese Aruya just a few fights ago. Lost to Charles Johnson like 4 fights ago. Last fought Bruno Silva, which this is definitely a massive step up from Bruno Silva. I know it was not that long ago, and I know he looked great. So I'm like, what am I I don't understand. There's got to be other factors at play that he is a -125, now -130 favorite, I think, on DraftKings here. I do think if this fight stays standing, Dan, then that is advantage Joshua Van because he is the better boxer. He's going to be the better boxer than most guys, obviously, because his boxing is really good. Royval's probably the better overall MMA fighter. Just like you put it all together, he's probably a better overall guy. He's fought the better guys. And like I said, I think won this fight with the pricing the way it is for DFS. I think you want to be over on both guys. I think you want to jam this fight at the price. Joshua Van has great volume. Royval, if he's winning, he can have takedowns. He can have grappling success. And I do think with this only being 3 rounds, he's going to have to, because his cardio is a weapon at times. He will use it. Like he's going to have to move faster. So I think the pace could be really good in this fight, which, obviously helps both guys in the scoring departments a little bit. So, I landed on leaning Joshua Van, but I don't have a strong feeling. And I'm more leaning him because I just don't understand the line. And when I don't get it, I do this game, Dan, where I'm like, I don't understand it, and it's here, and it's looking at me, and I'm looking at it, and I'm saying -130, whatever. But it's
one of those things. It's like
it's just one of those things
when it seems like too obvious, right?
Because I thought it would be the other way. I thought it'd be flipped. Like I thought Royval would be like +150. Or I'm sorry, -150, somewhere in that range, -140, -150. Josh Van like +120, somewhere in that range, +130, and it's not. So, yeah, I mean, Royval's the better overall MMA guy. I just think this fight's going to stay standing. That's the thing. If you don't think this fight stays standing, then Royval's probably going to win. If you think this fight stays standing, I think Joshua Van has a much better chance. And the line's kind of saying this fight's going to play out on the feet, right, Dan?
Yes. And it's also saying that it's going to most likely go the distance. And I think in that scenario, Van is the much better play. I picked Van to win. Especially at flyweight, I'm always going to favor, or for the most part, I'm going to favor the younger, faster, more powerful guy who throws more volume. I mean, that kind of applies to any weight class, but especially flyweight. I just think it will stay standing. And even if Royval tries to take him down, Van has showed, like, we say it all the time, like these young guys, they improve massively from fight to fight. And Josh Van is fighting constantly. He's training constantly. He doesn't cut weight, so he never has to stop. And he's just looked better and better and better every single time we see him. So I'm going to make a bet on youth, speed, volume, power. I'm going to take Van. I think Van is also the much better DFS play, because everyone will always talk about Royval's pace and volume. But the fact of the matter is Royval, he's been pretty reliant on having a full 5 rounds to work with. Like his last 2 5-round wins that both went to decision, where he landed 124 and 145 significant strikes respectively, scored 118 and 100. You flip over to Van, who's only ever been in 3-round fights. He's doubling up that volume, relative.
That's what I'm saying, though. The pace in this fight is going to be insane.
It's going to be insane.
If Royval tries to match Van's pace, we're going to see a ton of significant strikes.
See, FK makes a really good point here. Royval hasn't really been fighting pace guys. It's like Royval in his fights, he's been able to get into the driver's seat and dictate the pace. Van isn't necessarily going to let him do that. And we've been concerned about Van in the past for being a slow starter. I think he's started to actually address that. He's come out, much faster, much more urgent in his last few appearances. So that's the thing that I think he's fixed, man, along with the improving wrestling and grappling defense. If he ever starts wrestling and grappling offensively, like, look the fuck out, man. I'm a huge Van guy here.
He just trusts his hands so much that like he just wants to stay up. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, this is a tough fight. I agree with Austin. It's definitely a tough fight to read. That's why I don't want to be, like there's certain fights where you guys know, like I'll be, hard-headed, strong stance. This is definitely not one of those fights. I don't want to be too strong on this fight. Like I am going to pick Josh Van. I'm going to play both of these guys though. Like this is another fight, like 8K, 8,200. It's too cheap. Dan just read off the volume that these guys are going to put out there. Most likely, like in a decision win, Dan, with volume like that, that's going to play regardless of who wins.
I do think, though, I think that more applies to Van, because I think Royval, I think it's much more likely that he fails in a decision win than Van fails.
Yeah, no, I agree that in a decision, it probably leans Van. I just don't agree that Royval is not going to be able to match the volume or the intensity. It's 3 rounds. He's used to 5. Yeah, he's used to dictating it, but he's going to be able to come out there and not have to ramp himself up and just go. Now, maybe that's harder for some guys to do. I just feel like Royval, he's been through so many fights. It's not like he's a young guy. He's had 4 professional fights. He's fought the best fighters in the world. I don't think he's going to struggle with that.
Oh, you're talking about Royval. I was going to say, you're talking about, because Van has a shitload of pro fights too, which kind of leads.
I was talking about Royval just being struggling, not matching him from the get-go. I think he's going to be able to do it. I just think it's going to go to decision. And like you said, Van, it definitely leans Van in a decision, I think.
Poker MJ is asking about the quick turnaround. That's just like an overall concern I have about Van, just always in general and over the long term, because it's not, so he doesn't cut weight, right? He's like, he walks around at 120, at or around 125. He doesn't cut weight. It's like a holdover from his like Muay Thai days. Like those guys.
Royval's going to look way bigger than him.
Yeah. But like, so Van coming from a Muay Thai background, like they don't cut because they fight so many times. So he's used to kind of taking on this workload. I do fear that it will catch up with him one day, but yeah, the fact that he doesn't cut weight it alleviates those concerns for me more in the short term. We'll see how it plays out over the course of, we'll see how long he can keep doing this and go. Cause like right now he's fighting like he's fighting like 6 times a year, which is fucking crazy. But yeah, that's
Yeah,
kind of more
and
of
it's not like in the last fight he took like a ton of damage or anything like that.
Yeah.
You know, he didn't. And like you said, the weight cut's like the brutal part. The fact that he's not really cutting, you know, a lot of these guys, they're cutting down, and that like last half a pound is just a brutal cut, you know, just getting down to that final pound or whatever, Dan, for a lot of fighters and stuff.
Yeah, he's not doing that.
But the guys like Van that aren't really cutting, like they just walk up to the scale, no issues, walk back down, you know, and they're fine, you know. So I don't worry about it as much.
Well, and a consequence of that, of course, is that he will be smaller. Like Royval will look much bigger than him, but Van's used to that because that's always the case. He's always fighting guys who are cutting, and he's not cutting. So
he's always using his speed, technique, and staying defensively sound for the most part to win fights. So like he's always going to have mainly like a speed advantage. Like I said, like a boxing advantage pretty much. And in staying safe, like get in, get out. You know what I mean? Like
be very interesting to see. Be very interesting to see how Royval does deal with someone who also like builds and puts like, you know, fights with pace and builds as the fight goes on, because Royval, like we, you know, he's used to being the guy.
I'm saying. This is a really close. This is such a closely lined fight because it's just so. It's so well put together. It's perfect. So
someone in our chat said it earlier that they like this matchup more than Kopp and Royval. And as much as I love Kopp, I'm starting to agree with that take.
From an actual fight standpoint, yeah. I mean, Kopp's amazing. Kopp's great, but this fight's gonna be way funner than a Kopp fight for sure. Brandon thinks Royval via the sub in the third round.
Totally
that probably pays out a pretty penny, Brandon. I haven't looked at that. Let's see what do you think here? Sub for Brandon Royval plus 700 in the third round. Damn. 30-1, Dan. 30-1. There you go. That's a
fire away.
Yeah, fire away. Listen, those are the fun bets. Those are fun. Root on it. I'm always for a fun bet. All right, let's get to the two main event fights here, Dan. Pantoja and Kai Kara-France first on the card. 9K for Pantoja. Kai Kara-France 7,200 here in this fight. I think a lot of people are going to look at this fight, look at the pricing. Kai Kara-France is tough. He's got power. He's got knockout ability. And they're going to say, man, like, we need dogs on this card. This is a 5-round fight. Kai Kara-France is going to be very popular. I just don't. I feel like everyone like hates Pantoja. Not hate like they just don't like his style as much. He's not as fun. But like the guy's just a dog. Like he just keeps walking. So like he has a fun style, but it's like the heavy takedowns and grappling they don't love, because like the dude just walks forward. He has an iron chin. He throws bombs when he throws, and then he just goes for takedowns. He hunts submissions and control.
If you don't like what Pantoja does, go watch fucking Glory Kickboxing. Like go watch kickboxing. Go watch some other shit. Go watch boxing. Go watch some shit.
You know what I'm saying though? I feel like because like every time I get into these fights, and it's like the last fight with Asakura, and before that with Urseg, and all these fights, Moreno, and I've been on Pantoja, so maybe I'm a little biased here because I bet Pantoja through this entire run. I haven't bet against him once, but like I feel like people are trying to make an excuse in their mind for why they should bet the dog at the price. It's like maybe Pantoja is just the right pick because until his chin just fades. Maybe eventually his chin will fade and then he'll get knocked out and put out at some but right now he's got he's going to move forward, which when you have a wrestler with his grappling that's just constantly moving forward, Dan, like you want to put the wrestler and grappler on his back foot and you move forward when he's just constantly moving forward, dictating the pace. That's an issue. That's why, you know, he's so good at getting people backed up and getting them in bad positions where he can go for takedowns, and he's just relentless with it. And I don't know if Kai Kara-France as good a defense as he has if he's going to, through 5 rounds, stop this dude from implementing his game plan. So maybe he can, maybe he catches him. I think Kai Kara-France's path is a knockout. I think if it goes to the decision, it definitely leans the Pantoja side. And I do think that whether it's submission for Pantoja or decision, probably decision, he finds a way to get it done. I think he's a great play for DFS. I mean, the guy just keeps putting up 100+ fantasy points every single time, and he's 9K. So I'm going to be on the Pantoja side. What do you got?
Yeah, I mean, I picked Kara-France to win. A lot of it just comes down to, I think the line is too wide. I think this is going to be ultra competitive. We saw Pantoja, go to an ultra competitive decision with Steve Erceg that he was losing until Erceg shoots a boneheaded takedown late in the 5th round and basically just hands the fight and the round over to Pantoja.
Heart, Dan. That's heart right there. That's heart.
So, I mean, obviously Pantoja is, he's relentless. He's an elite grappler. He's got bombs for hands. He just marches forward. The offensive production is obviously there's not much bad you can say about it. So he's clearly an elite fantasy asset. If he wins, I don't think there's really much question that he's hitting the optimal. I think the only downside case for him is like what we talk about with submission grapplers a lot, where they win too efficiently, or, an early 2nd round submission win that only scores 90 something. But at 9K, that might even be enough on this slate. So I love Pantoja, and I'm going to be playing a shitload of him. Like, I'll probably have around 60 to 70% of him, but every other lineup I play is going to have Kai Kara-France because he's obviously got some of the best power in the division. We just saw him flatten Steve Erceg. And Pantoja has never been knocked out at distance. Am I getting that right? Pantoja is obvious. Yeah,
like that's
he's
right.
never been finished. Pantoja's never been finished. He's ultra durable, but he's 35 years old. This is what his 1, 2, 3, 4. This is his 4th title defense. He's been fighting the very best of the division for the last 4 years. Like, that takes a toll on you, man. Like, it's really, really, look at how much turnover we've had when it comes to champions in all the other divisions. It's extremely difficult to hold that spot for too long. And, the fight game, these things are just a matter of time. He's got a cast iron chin. He can take a beating. We've seen Pantoja slow down later in fights, but be able to just dig extra deep and push through. At a certain point, he's not going to be able to do that. So do I think it's the most likely outcome? Maybe not, but I do think this line is too wide. And I think Kai Kara-France at 25% is way, way underowned, considering just how competitive these flyweight fights tend to be.
All right. We'll see. I do like I wish they had the under on Kai Kara-France. Come on, DraftKings. Give us the under on the main event. How can't we give us the under? I want the under on 72.5 strikes. If you can find that anywhere, I'd probably like that. And I do like Pantoja over on takedowns. I mean, he's pretty much getting 3 takedowns in majority of his wins. So if you do think he wins, I mean, you got to assume he's getting a few takedowns here. 3, absolutely. I would say, is close to a minimum if he's winning a 5-round decision. The only way he's not getting that and winning is if he gets a quick sub. So
right,
that would be the only, or getting knocked out, I guess, if he's losing. But so that's that fight. We are on opposite sides again. No shocker there. We're on opposite sides a decent amount. Let's get to the final fight on the card here, Dan. Topuria versus Oliveira. Now, this line, these are the lines where I'm like, okay, if you want to say this line's wide and you want to bet Charles Oliveira, I get that. Like the Kai Kara-France line, that's debatable. Like this line, though, I get it because he's a massive dog here to Ilia Topuria. Moving up. it does feel a little disrespectful on the surface here. I mean, Ilya is a minus 425 favorite, Charles plus 330. Now, both these guys super dangerous. Both these guys styles, Topuria is looking for the knockout. Charles Oliveira is always hunting for finishes. Different in the way they go about it, though, right, Dan? Like Topuria is so much more measured than guys. Like he is as measured a champion as I've seen in a while. Like the way he goes about it, he's very he's very much just like he's trying to read everything and get that big shot. And then when he thinks he has you, he'll start to volume you up a little bit. You know what I mean? But he's looking for that big one shot to put your lights out and, go from there. His boxing is clean. Takedown defense is awesome. I do think if Charles Oliveira could get the fight to the ground, that's where, he would definitely have the advantage for sure. Because he has the advantage against pretty much everyone in that department. The question is, can he do it, Dan? That's the question. Like, what if you're betting Charles Oliveira? What is your path to victory?
If you're betting Charles Oliveira, I think you want to see him come out ultra aggressive and just get on Topuria, throw some bombs, get him to the ground, get on the back. Like you need Oliveira to be, you need him to be aggressive because, like you touched on, Topuria is like very measured. He's very calculated. The longer the fight goes, the more information he is picking up on you, the more likely it is he's going to get in there and like surgically put you unconscious. Like that's kind of the whole thing. And it's sort of why I have like ceiling concerns for Topuria, because his game isn't really predicated on volume and aggression. It's more just like lethal efficiency, which a lot of times can lead to pretty disappointing scores. He doesn't really crack 100 all that often. So you can definitely see a world where round 2 or round 3 knockout win for Topuria only gets him, high 80s, low 90s. Like that is firmly in play. Oliveira, on the other hand, I think a win for him. Obviously, it's 6,900. He's making the optimal no matter what. And this line is just crazy disrespectful. You've got Charles Oliveira, the most prolific finisher in UFC history. It's 6,900, and nobody really wants to play him. I'm seeing him at like 25% ownership. I'm probably going to be close. I'm going to be like between 30 and 40 on Oliveira. I just don't understand. I think this line is insanely wide.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I think he hurts Charles Oliveira in round 1. I think he finishes Charles in round 2. That's just my personal opinion. I think Charles is going to find it's not as easy with someone like Ilya getting him down. And maybe he tries to like pull him down where he's like, okay, even if he lands on his back, you know what I mean? Like they just like he forces the grappling exchange, and even if he loses it and he lands on his back, he's like okay with it. Maybe they get down that way, but it's really hard. Like the way Topuria is like stalking you, he's always like getting you backed up, and he's just so heavy on the front leg. He's kind of like waiting for it, and he's so good with his strikes. It's just a tough spot. He can catch you coming in. So, I'm going the Topuria side. From a DFS side, though, I agree with you. Like, I think I'm going to be lower on Topuria than the field because a round 2 knockout with not as much volume and maybe no takedowns is only scoring like 90-something. And I don't know if 90-something's getting on the winner. So that's why I'm probably going to be lower on him. But I do think I like him to finish. I see DFS Savant says plus 600 by submission. You're welcome. Always like a little submission. I do kind of feel like Austin might be. Topuria's had a submission though. He beat who would he beat by submission? Was it Bryce Mitchell? Didn't he sub Bryce Mitchell? So he's not saving. He's subbed Bryce Mitchell. I'm pretty sure.
He's got 8
already.
submission wins. Yeah.
No, I mean like in the UFC. I mean like in the UFC though.
Oh yeah, Bryce Mitchell. Yeah, Bryce Mitchell is his only sub in the UFC. But
No.
people forget because Topuria's boxing is what he's been using to mainly win fights lately. But Topuria came in as like a jiu-jitsu guy.
Dude, Topuria is as well rounded as they come. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like he could definitely get a submission.
I picked him to win. Also, like
in this line of even though, I mean, minus 175 by KO. Like I don't think I'm betting that. That's crazy. Like I'm not betting that. So if you want to take a shot on the sub, like plus 600, plus 500, that's maybe Charles is tough. Maybe he knocks him down, but not out. And then he jumps on a sub. Like that could easily happen.
Charles is, he's pretty hittable. He definitely leaves his chin out there. He can be dropped, but man, he's got toughness and heart for days. So it's not going to be particular. I don't think it's going to be
one thing.
Get him out.
Dropped is one thing. Getting like put out cold is another thing, right, Dan? So like being dropped is okay. Like Charles can recover from being dropped, and he's okay being on his back. That's the other thing with Charles. Yeah, that's why he does what he does. He doesn't care if he's on his back.
No, not at all. And also kind of to add to that point, like Topuria, obviously his resume, you knock out Max Holloway, you knock out Alex Volkanovski. Those are incredible wins. But
Austin, he wants to show Khabib. He don't want to show he wants to show Khabib. He wants to show Khabib. Like I'm the man now. You're the master, but I'm the man now, because he's got respect for those guys. So like even the way he talks about, like he has respect for him, but I can totally see him. He wants to do it in front of Khabib, to his guy, to his like mentor or mentee, whatever you call it. Like I just subbed your guy. That's what he wants, I think. So wouldn't doubt me. All right, I wouldn't doubt it.
The last point I just want to make is that Oliveira is by far the most dangerous opponent that Topuria has ever had, which should be obvious since Oliveira is probably the most one of the most, if not the most dangerous guy in all of in the entirety of the UFC. But Holloway, Volkanovski, those are guys who they go to decisions. They're not really knocking you out. They're not really taking you down and subbing you. This is a whole different animal for Topuria. So he's looked incredible, but he's never fought anyone this dangerous before.
Verbal Droppings asks, who hits harder, Justin Gaethje or Ilya? Charles handled Gaethje. Who hits harder, Dan? Justin Gaethje or Ilya?
I'm going to have to go with Ilya, man. I mean, you knock out Max Holloway. It's hard. It's really hard to argue with knocking out Max Holloway. I'm going to have to go with Ilya.
Don't forget what happened to Justin Gaethje in terms of Holloway, I'm saying. In terms of yeah. So listen, could Charles stay alive? I don't think that's good. I think these odds are crazy from the standpoint of the KO number, even though I do think that's probably what happens. Like decision at plus 700, submission at plus 600, plus 500. Like I would stab more on one of those and just root on it and root on Charles to have heart.
Charles survived getting fucking whacked in the back of the head 15 times by Michael Chandler. So,
wait a second. Charles was dominating that fight. That's
no, but I'm saying Charles got punched about 15 times to the back of the head.
Yeah.
and
that was
survived.
Dan, only difference is that was like the only time he got punched in that fight.
Yeah.
It's like the only time he got punched. He dominated.
I hate Michael Chandler. I hate that motherfucker.
I hate Michael. I always bet against Michael Chandler. Whenever I see him on the card, it's just automatic bet against. Always.
Oh, I was on him for Patty, but I hate him so much that I was fucking.
That's what I'm saying, though, bro. You can tell yourself a story with these lines sometimes, and I'm like, those are the lines I got to stay away from. The Charles line's different. It's like fucking plus 330. I understand that, but like minus or plus 190, plus 185, like those are the lines you got to be careful of. Like just saying it because we see it all the time. It's like these guys just end up gutting it out. I don't know. That's the way I look at it. But all right, let's do a pick six real quick, Dan, and then we'll get out of here. We got content. over at Run Pure Sports. If you guys want to check runpuresports.com out. I dropped the code in the chat earlier, but JBC 100K win gets you a free week over at runpuresports.com. All you have to do is sign up for one of the monthly packages, JBC 100K win, and it will get you a free week over there. And RPS 15, if you just want 15% off and you want to use it on any package, that will work for you as well. All right, Dan, pick 6. Let's go back and forth here. Any fight on the card, whatever you want, fantasy points, significant strikes. What are we looking at here?
Let me get Cortez under 56.5 6 strikes.
Cortez under significant strikes. Get her under on strikes. Okay, I'm going to go to takedowns, and I'm going to go to Pantoja more than 2.5. Dan?
I'm just looking for... Where the fuck did he go?
You want your boy Joshua Van?
What do they have? 6 strikes for him?
90.5, I think, is his 6 strikes. 74.5 fantasy points.
It's kind of high. That can go wrong in so many ways. We had a fantasy point one that we liked earlier. What was that? Oh, Cortez under 79.5 fantasy points.
Didn't you just take her?
I took her under 6 strikes. Can you not do?
Yeah, you can't do the same fighter.
That makes
like
sense.
You can't see in red, so you can't do like the same fighter. You could do like an Araujo prop, but you can't do another Tracy Cortez prop.
Right. Let's look at takedowns. What did you just pick?
So I picked the over on Pantoja takedowns.
Okay.
A couple of the other ones that I liked, I'll just give them out while you were looking. Borshchev over 17.5 significant strikes.
What about
19? It's 19 now, but I bet that earlier.
Royval over 74.5 significant strikes. Looks pretty good.
I like that in a decision fight. I like that. Anything else you seeing?
I think earlier, did we not pick the under on Diniz significant strikes?
Oh, I like that one, though. We didn't pick it, but I like it.
Yeah, what's he at? 28? Let me just double
28.5. You like that?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of feel like if you think Diniz ends early, if he finishes him early.
I kind of like the Diniz. Like, if you think he finishes early, 83.5 fantasy points seems low.
Yeah, let's go with the fantasy points then instead of the strikes.
Yeah, I like that. I like that more there. And then we need one more, Dan. We need one more.
One more. All right, let's look at these takedowns.
Holy crap. Pantoja's fantasy line, Dan. Listen to this. So I gave I wrote up and gave out I dropped a few pick 6 props in the DraftKings Discord, and I wrote up little blurbs. So this was yesterday, Dan. I wrote up Alexandre Pantoja fantasy prop at 86.5 was the line. Guess what it's at right now? 98.5. That's just yesterday to today. It went from 86.5 to 9. I was wondering because I was like, man, there's another Pantoja prop that I loved. So I went and looked because I wrote it up and we put it in the DraftKings Discord. And I was like, oh, that's why it moved up 12 points since then.
Too sharp, man.
Too sharp. I finally got a sharp one. Finally.
All right, I found another one I like. Let's do over 19.5 6 strikes for Borshchev.
I already put that one down for us, I think. Yeah, it's already in here.
All right.
I'm gonna go. I'll do this one. I'm gonna go Jacob Smith over on control time, minute 30.
All right. Can Nico Price last for a minute and a half?
That's the question right there. So here's the pick 6, guys. Tracy Cortez under on 56.5 significant strikes. Pantoja. I like the fantasy point line, but now it's 98.5. So that's a little little much. I think he could still go over that, but over 2.5 takedowns. Borshchev over, it was 17.5. Now it's 19.5 significant strikes. I still like that. Brandon Royval over 74.5 significant strikes. Donato Diniz over 83.5 fantasy points. And Jacob Smith over 1.5 minutes of control time over on pick 6. And they do have that 30% boost that we can use here. So I'm going to post this. Let me just screenshot it. I'm going to post this in our Discord as well as on Twitter. Boom. All right, Dan, that's going to do it here. Do you have a favorite bet before we get out of here for the people?
All right, what's my favorite bet?
Because I owned you last time. I told you Khalil Roundtree. I forgot to bring this up. I told you Khalil Roundtree was going to own your shitty ass Jamal Hill. That guy.
I'm not going to sit here and defend the Jamal Hill pick, man.
That guy, Jamal Hill. And
that was the first and last time I picked that winning. What would you say?
The fact that dude thought he was winning the fight,
bro.
And the coaching
corner told him it was a close one.
The coaches told him that he might be winning, or it was close, or whatever they said was insane. I couldn't believe it.
His legs were fucked from once Khalil started hammering on his legs and he had no answer for that. It was a done deal because he couldn't throw with any
dude. Khalil's leg kicks were like so powerful too. He's like so compact and fast. They were so good. But where's the link for the Discord, please, guys? So if you Jonathan, I don't know, if you're signed up, then all you have to do is, hold on, let me pull it up real quick. So if you sign up over at Run Pure Sports, when you go to your account, there should be something saying connect to Discord. See under account, you'll see Discord. You click that, you connect, Jonathan, and then once you get into Discord, you'll see the waiting room. And you can @captain in there with any questions you have. If your thing doesn't come up in like 5 minutes, just shoot the captain a DM and he'll get back to you. Okay, yeah, got to go to the website. Yeah, so like when you go to account and you click Discord, there should be something in there. It'll show you link to Discord account. All right, so go to account. When you log in, go to account, go to Discord. It's right at the top. It'll drop down, and then just click link to Discord account, and you should be good to go. So, yeah, any other questions, though, when you get into Discord, shoot the captain a message, and he will help you out, or Wiley, any of those guys in there. So, all right, Dan, favorite bet. Sorry, I sidetracked.
All good. I think I'm going to take favorite bet. I think I'm going to take Borshchev, man. And then if you want to get really spicy, you can do Borshchev round 2.
Bro, we're riding here. We're riding. That's my favorite bet too. Borshchev money line. We're riding together. I'll give one more. Donato Diniz under 1.5 rounds. I think is a good bet as well. I think he wins via KO. But Borshchev is my favorite bet. It's my favorite dog bet today as well. And the line keeps cratering, I think, Dan. It keeps going in Borshchev's favor a little bit. So I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good about it. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. We'll be back next week. Enjoy the fights tonight. Good luck in your DraftKings, DFS, and betting over at DK Sportsbook. For Dan and myself, JSU, hopefully we'll see you in the Run Pure Sports Discord. But till next week, we're out of here. Peace.